my previous work in the mining industry from 2003 to 2008 was the CEO of what's now called China Gold International. So we went to China in 2003, and by 2008, we had built China's second largest gold mine, which operates today. It's the Changshanhao Rheoqi mine. And you know, we went there because we saw a great theme in that China was the 5th largest gold producer in the world, and now it's the #1 gold producer in the world. In 2008, I took my gold hat off and decided that lithium was going to be the metal of the decade and beyond. Lithium, because lithium was an enabling metal for mobile transportation, electric cars, and mobile communications, cellular phones. And so I got behind a company called Western Lithium, which merged with Lithium Americas, and is now one of the leading lithium developers in the world. In fact, Elon Musk just recognized, from Tesla, just recognized the lithium clays that we were developing in Nevada as a potential source for lithium. So lithium is the enabling metal for portable electronics. And now when I look ahead to the future, our global future in terms of electrification, and we're going through an energy transition. And that energy transition is moving to renewable energy, wind and solar, to power our electric cars. And the enabling metal for this energy transition, in my opinion, is copper. Because with this new energy distribution system, you're making energy through wind and solar means that requires copper. The electrons that are made there go into a distribution system, which are generally copper or copper alloys, into market, which is a storage battery, which it could be a lithium ion battery, it's copper. And then from there, it goes into your electric car, which goes into your electric motors, which require copper, and the lithium battery, which requires copper. And most people don't know this, but if you think about a lithium battery and you think about the metals that go into it, lithium, copper, cobalt, nickel, manganese, of those metals, the battery, the metal that has the largest use in the battery is copper, or the largest by weight use. So because of that, I've looked at the copper industry and decided that my next foray is to build a copper platform. And so Camino, which I got involved with 6 months ago, is my new company to develop a copper business into this electrifying world. So Camino, in Spanish, it means road. It's a journey, and we're right at the beginning of our journey with this company. I'm going to try to change the slides here and see if I can do that. Of course, we're talking about forward-looking statements. So what I will talk about here is the outlook of what I'm trying to build. We are obviously starting with an exploration project that we believe could be a mine, but it's not a mine today. But if we are successful, we can generate the wealth and create the value that we did with Jinshan Goldmines, which is now China Gold International, and Western Lithium, which is Lithium Americas. And both of those companies, China Gold International is about a $600 million company today, and Lithium Americas is well over $1 billion, nearly $2 billion today. So, tremendous value can be created when you get onto the right theme and you have the right assets and the right management team. So the best place to start a copper company, in my opinion, is Peru and Chile. These are the two largest copper producing regions in the world. And the best place to find a copper mine is where you have copper sticking out of the ground, which is exactly what we have with our Los Gepidos property. And this is our discovery outcrop. And what you're looking at here is a rock formation, which is called the Chocolate Formation. It looks like chocolate, and then when you walk up and hit it with a hammer, you know, suddenly you look into it, and you know, in this case, you can see the rich copper, the oxidized copper that's within this formation. And this formation runs up the entire coast of Peru, and there are several mines that operate from this formation. And when you look below that formation, when you drill into it, which is what we did in 2017 and 2018, this is where we had our discovery holes. And you can see the type of intersections that we had through this formation were exceptional, where we were getting you know, over 160 meters of 0.72% copper. That's going along strike of this major fault trend that we're on, the Diva trend. And then across strike, we were getting very nice intercepts, 82 meters of 1.3% copper and 96 meters of 0.9% copper. That's in the green circle, and that is what we call our mantos mineralization. And that's what we're looking at bulking out and building a resource around the drill program, which we've started just last week. In the red zone, we're also getting very high-grade copper intercepts. And I'll try to move the slide here again. And this is where you see very high-grade to depth. And when we cross one of this feeder, a Diva fault zone, you can see there we can get you know, high grades of up to 5%, over 4.5 meters, 6% or 2.5% over 6 meters. So these are, this leads us to believe that there's you know, a nice mineralized system here, and we don't know you know, the extent of the mineralization, but this type of high grade lends itself to potentially, you know, something much larger at depth, which is what we will continue to explore with this program. So looking at the main zone, we're standing on that chocolate formation outcrop that I showed you in the previous slide, and just looking down this mineralized structure, which we call the Diva structure. And you can see some of the drilling that we did in 2017 and 18, those drill rigs. Where we have a drill rig today is just on the cusp there's an outcrop of rock there that you can see just in the middle of the picture. That's where our drill rig is today. It's undrilled, and we're drilling an outcrop which looks very similar to the discovery outcrop in my original slide. So that drilling started on the weekend, and we should have those results by the end of the month. So that's an exciting time for the company to go through our whole permitting process and recapitalization over the last year to be drilling now this week. So I like to say we're in real time now in terms of creating value at the drill bit. And what we're looking for is, you know, a project that will meet our minimum targets to develop a resource and a mine around, which would be probably in the range of 20 or 30 million tons of ore. And ultimately, what the potential hosts for a project like this, which is an IOCG type of deposit, would be a project like Mina Justa, which is just to the north of us. And there, they've identified a 350 million ton resource at about 0.7. And that project has been under construction for a number of years. And they've invested over $1.6 billion into that project now to go into production. We started our drilling on last Friday, as I said, and we started with the Pachamama ceremony, which is the local shaman ceremony to ask permission of the land to provide us with good results or fruits, so that employees can benefit, the company can benefit, and basically all of Peru and including the local community, you know, can benefit from what we're doing there. And that's a strong belief that we have when we develop projects. I can still remember, you know, doing similar outreach and cultural programs with Jinshan Goldmines back in 2008, and I still have my matoshin, which is my Chinese instrument, you know, from those days. And so we plan to do the same here in Peru and work, with local communities so that there's a win-win benefit for everything that we do. And once you have a social license, or on top of that, the world of mining is moving towards a zero emission model, or with a strong environmental, social, and governance strategy. And one aspect that I like about this project's Gepidos is its location. It's along the coast. So just like Mina Justa, that mine I mentioned that they're investing $1.6 billion, we could access seawater to process our ore. We have power lines that go over the project, and those power lines happen to connect to Peru's largest wind farm. So we'll be using renewable energy, the same renewable energy that requires a lot of copper, in order to develop this project. And then lastly, access. We are near the town of Chmelauskas, which is a small mining town and trucking town. And we're right along the Pan American Highway. So everything that all the goods that move between Chile and Ecuador, in fact, all the way up to Canada, is along this Pan American Highway. So that's important, as we develop this project and as we market the company, to be able to provide, a solid development type of plan. Once we get the company to a point where we can have a resource and start those studies. And the project is very prolific in terms of the work that has been done over the last few years. As I said, I started with this company 6 months ago. So we saw these results, and we see that there is a lot of mineralization across the project. We're now drilling just in this Diva trend, but if you look across the entire 220 square kilometer land package, there is a lot of copper mineralization that still needs to be explored. And very nice grades with those rock chip samples and some of the soil samples that we've done across the project. So, we're focused on identifying our first resource, our first maiden resource in this Diva Adriana zone that we're drilling. We want to extend the drilling likely to the north and to the west now of where we're drilling, but we've got this large property that we'll continue to explore as we get started. And just walking across the property, you can see to the north, there's been old historical workings. And where I see, this type of activity, it lends itself to, again, more mineralization that needs to be followed up on. And none of this has been drilled, by Camino or anyone else. So this is a new discovery in the copper space, which there's a dearth of new discoveries in this industry, which is why, which in the copper sector, which is why we've been quite excited about using this project and Camino as our platform to get started. And when you drill, from surface, here's a drill hole that goes down to about 190 meters. You still see that it's this bright green oxidized copper. We have chalcocite also in the ore. And so with this type of mineralization, we are doing studies towards what would be an SXEW type of operation. So a low capital, a relatively low capital, a project that could be built with the proper testing done, metallurgical work around building an SXEW project. And solvent extraction, electrowinning allows you to make copper cathode, high-grade copper cathode that can be sold into market. And just a few slides here. I'm just watching the time, so we have 5 minutes for questions in the end. But there's a major thematic here around electrification, and whenever you have a thematic, commodity prices follow. And when I was in China back in 2003, Deng Xiaoping had opened up the economy, at the end of the 1990s, and China went on a tear to become, the world's factory, and we saw copper prices rise over that time. Right here to 2011, where copper peaked at about $4.50. And I believe that we're on a similar trend now with electrification. There's a demand narrative there. There's also a supply narrative in terms of grades dropping and declining around the world. So we're at the very start of building our company, but we're also at the very start of what I think could be a good copper market for the next decade in front of us. As I said, Peru is the second largest copper producer in the world, so it's a good place to start our activities and build our business. We're a company building. We're company builders. We have our flagship Gepidos project, which is now being drilled, but you'll also see the company start to develop other prospects and other projects. And this is just another project we have in the company, 100% owned, that we're just starting to do work on, and you'll see more information on this project in 2021. But you can see we have very nice high grade copper mineralization across veins that are about 0.5 to 1.5 meters wide, 0.3 to up to 8% copper. And what's interesting is in this case, 70 grams up to 1,500 grams per ton of silver. So a project like this, if successful, could look like a mine like the Cozamin mine in Mexico, which is very low capital. I mean, they invested about, this is Capstone, which is an intermediate copper mine company. They invested about $50 million into that project, and it's returned $450 million in cash flow over its lifetime. So these are the type of projects that catch our interest, and we'll be moving forward with Camino. You've got a board and a management team that's got a lot of depth in terms of their technical expertise, management expertise, and mine building, and more importantly, mine finding expertise. Ken McNaughton is a founder of Pretium Resources and Silver Standard. Of course, I've developed the Jinshan mine in China. Keith Peck has developed a copper mine very similar to what we're trying to do here at Los Gepidos. He developed a project called the Centenario Company Frank Mine in Chile back in 2009. So I've got about 4 minutes left. We've got 100 million shares outstanding, so it's easy to calculate our market cap. 16, 17, 18 cents. We're just under $20 million market cap. So a long way to go, I think, in terms of creating value here and creating a copper company. With that, I'll open it for questions. Gilbert, did you get all of that?
Yeah, very good. So let's start off by firing you first question from Johnson here. He said Peru has had a lot of activity in the mining sector. Do you see a increasing of the cost there and the mining cost?
I don't have an answer to that, to be honest with you. I don't have an answer to, power costs, acid costs, those are the main drivers of a mining operation. But suffice to say, Peru is still considered one of the lowest cost regions in the world to produce copper.
Sure. The second one coming from Sebastian, what's sort of the time frame that you can get an idea of the possible resource?
I think it'll be, towards the middle of next year. That's what we're working towards, and that'll depend on the results we get from this current drill campaign, which is up to 3,000 meters, and then the follow-up drilling that we would do beyond this.
Okay. This question coming from Edward. What sort of COVID-19 policy happening in Peru? Is exploration, mining consider essential work there?
Yes, it is. Yeah. So they've opened the country in terms of phases, and we were allowed to get started in phase 3, which in the country is into phase 4, I believe now. So medium to small scale mining and exploration, we could start up in July, which is when we had our geologists on the site. There has been additional lockdowns since phase 3 has opened in provinces or departments like Ica and Arequipa, which we're in Arequipa, but that hasn't impacted our ability to get drilling, and we've got a very established system in place, and we have been able to screen out COVID positive people so far. So we're we're hoping for the best, and I really hope that everyone is safe on site, and we don't experience any issues with COVID.
Yes, and this question from David: any environmental issues and the public policy implications there in Peru in that aspect?
Yeah, well, as I said, I mean, obviously, good environmental stewardship is important. Where we are out in Los Gepidos, there's really no activity. People don't live out there. It's relatively barren land. I mean, it's got beautiful meadows, and it's a beautiful place to be. The local community that we work with, they have an area that they want to keep as a private reserve, which is to the north of our claims, and that's an area that we would want to work with them to preserve that. And so beyond that, we see we view this project as a place where a mine could be built for the reasons I mentioned.
Sure. This question coming from Brian here. Let me translate a bit. I think it's meant to say your company share price in the past have some excitement, now sort of settling down. So what can you do, or what are you doing to get back to being active again?
Well, and that's exactly what we saw too. So we saw this company as being mispriced based off of the results of 2017 and 18, where we had a very high, or high valuation, for the company. So if you look at our press releases and our activity the last 6 months, we've been very active through COVID to get to the point where we've got a drill rig on site and we're drilling now to create value at the drill tip.
Okay, thank you. I think that's it for answering all the questions, Jay. Thank you for your time here, sharing with your story. And I know that you're going to join us later for the panel as well. I will see you later.
Expert panel, yeah. So any other questions, just join us there. Thanks a lot, everyone. Cheers.
Thank you, Jay.
再见，再见。